Have you ever heard of the phrase, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with? For most of us, that's the people we watch on social media, TV, and the news. I'll bet it's what's keeping you from achieving most of your goals. I realized this when I accidentally quit social media this past month, and it was the best thing I've ever done for myself. So in this video, I'm going to be making over my work from home desk setup while sharing the story of how it happened, basically on Twitter. Hello! This week, I am trying to finish my floating desk. I'm going to be making out of butcher block countertop, but first I need to build the braces, so let's do that. The story starts on Twitter, the app that everyone loves to hate but can't seem to quit. Unfortunately, because of my difficult relationship with my ex-career in Hollywood, my social media accounts like to force feed me Hollywood-related tweets against my will. This time, I got tricked into consuming a spoonful of bitterness in the form of a tweet thread written by an animation writer. To make a long story short, it was a thread complaining about the state of the job market for writers. It had a dash of moaning about women and minorities not getting a fair shake to climb the ladder, and a hint of entitlement about the oh-so-difficult life of a Hollywood employee. Like most Hollywood complaints, it was masquerading around, pretending to help other people, when it was actually a selfish plea about how it could be and should be easier for her to climb the corporate Hollywood ladder. And of course, shameless self-plugs throughout the thread trying to look for work, or at the very least, monetize her attempt at being an influencer, which she conveniently also mocks. Because I suck at drilling, and because these 2x2s are really uneven, I have to cut off some of the excess so that the table lays flat. I'm gonna do it with this oscillating multi-tool. Basically, I just need to correct all of the mistakes that I made drilling. You probably can't see them, but I can see them, and when I'm working on my new floating table, it's definitely going to be shown. So, let's do it. My brain decided to immediately come up with all the reasons why people in Hollywood are delusional. I thought, why do people in Hollywood think their careers are any different from anyone else's career? Anyone who's ever worked has the same complaints, no matter if it's in Hollywood or at the local Target. Time to install the cleats. I have learned that the braces are not called braces, they are called cleats. It's time to install it. Let's see if I can do this by myself. I'm actually going to mount it maybe 2 inches lower because the desk that's going to sit on top. The butcher block countertops are 1.75 inches thick, so I'm going to make it 1.25 inches less than 29 inches, which is 27 inches and a quarter. Math! I can do math. And what is this about only wealthy rich men can climb to the top because they have the societal means to risk thousands of dollars on something as stupid as a short film? Climbing to the top is and has always been risky for anyone. Every person who became somebody notable had to risk something, knowing full well that it might not work out and you end up penniless. Pointing out that wealthy people have more opportunity with less risk is like saying the sky is blue. Thank you, Einstein. And wealthy according to what standard exactly? You mean wealthier than you. Ah, see, that's the jealousy and envy. The same thing could be said about you by someone from a third world country. They'd say, look at this woman with her first world problems. Okay, time to make the second cleat. Hopefully this will go faster than yesterday. It's smaller. This cleat is smaller, but still, it surprisingly takes a lot of time because it's 2 screws. You don't care. Let's get to it. She should admit she's just too scared to take the risk, instead of making it everyone else's fault but hers. Within minutes, I made judgment after judgment about this person I've never met. But then I wondered, why do I even care? I'm spending all this energy ruminating on topics I've already thought about hundreds of times before. What does it matter to me that this person is obliviously entitled? If she wants to be a victim her whole life, that is her choice. Suddenly, I was struck with a very uncomfortable thought. I used to be her. It's embarrassing and shameful to admit it, but just a few short years ago, when I was still working in Hollywood, I thought similar things. I too thought working in Hollywood was somehow unique, different from working in any other corporate environment. I too wanted to believe in putting women and minorities first. Not because I saw any overt problems in the workplace, but because I knew in the back of my mind that it would make it easier for me to climb the ladder. It was entirely selfish, but at the same time, it's not like I was even aware I was thinking these things. The unfairness of the workplace made me develop a kind of jealousy jealousy and envy. I think things like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have connections like them? I would have gotten hired so much easier. Or, they're not even that good at what they do. I can't believe they got hired at that company. Now that I got all the cleats made, I have to cut this butcher block countertop to size because it's a little wide for how wide I want the desk. I don't really think desks need to be 2-3 feet wide, so I designed it to be a little bit thinner because why does it need to be that wide? I'm a little nervous because I bought these. These were kind of expensive. I thought ugly, nasty thoughts, and my insecurity made it impossible for me to be grateful for the things I did have. The people around me at the time added fuel to the fire when they also voiced similar thoughts. Yes, they actually spoke these kind of thoughts out loud for everyone to hear. We all thought it was perfectly normal to be this mean. It convinced me that behaving this way was just another ordinary day in Hollywood. I'm totally not the asshole here if everyone else is also thinking it. It wasn't until I left that I realized how warped my perspective had become. I hated the way I treated people. I hated the elitism that I developed. I hated how short-sighted and ignorant I was. I felt guilty and ashamed. Which brings us back to the Twitter thread in question. Alright, I cut this butcher block. It's still extremely heavy, so let's cross our fingers and hope that it'll float. I'm a little worried, but we'll see. So now it is time to finish the wood. Finish meaning to seal it so it doesn't stain easily when you put a cup or spill something on it. And how I'm doing it is I'm going to use Tung Oil. Without further ado, let's try it. Desperate to put that part of myself in the past, my mind made me angry, almost to prove to me I am not her anymore. Do everything in your power to distance yourself from that person. This is the only way to protect your oh-so-fragile ego. But it was impossible to not notice that she and I had more in common than I initially thought. So not exactly wanting to continue this cycle of self-sabotage, I realized to really move on is to be able to not get triggered by random events like this. I had to confront my anger towards her and understand that it was actually anger towards myself. I was stupid once. I was ignorant and selfish and entitled. I was duped and manipulated. I have to accept that about myself and then forgive. After all, it's proof that I'm capable of growth and improvement. With the occasional petty pattern here and there, of course, I'm not perfect. I should be grateful for the idiot that I was when I was younger, not ashamed. She taught me who I didn't want to be, and just like that, I felt the anger lift. This was the moment that single-handedly changed every interaction I saw on the internet. Going forward, I could see everyone's insecurity on full display. Some people complained about influencers being entitled or rich. That's jealousy and envy. Some people complain about the stupid politics of people they disagree with. That's insecurity pretending to be superiority. None of these observations added anything to my life. So why was I filling my time and mind with all the negative thoughts of humanity? I want to spend my days doing creative things and having positive, interesting conversations with inspiring people. So naturally, I started to spend less and less time on social media. Suddenly, all this time to do anything I wanted appeared out of nowhere. I started reading, writing, and going on long walks where Vincent and I end up having great conversations. It is now time to install the butcher block board. Clearly, I've already done one side because I was too lazy to film it and it got too dark. I got very, very excited. I couldn't wait to see it on there, so I put it on there with Vincent. I now need to put that side of the table on and then the front panel to cover up the frame. Hopefully I can do it by myself because I don't want to ask Vincent for help. Oh gosh. What? It's too long. I've taken it outside and cut a little bit off. Fantastic. Fantastic. Good job, Janet. Outside of posting videos for my work, I didn't browse on social media apps. The results were immediate. I became happier and insanely productive. But there was one downside. I wasn't as informed on current events. So it was kind of hard to talk to other people who were still obsessed with politics and news and drama. But I was willing to make that trade-off if it meant I didn't have the latest, greatest, most upsetting news floating around in my head at all times. You might think social media and news is helpful to you. It informs you of trends or warns you of things you should know about. You might think it feels good to gossip or to relish in somebody else's stupidity, but that's energy not being spent on good things for yourself. It's actually just holding you back and turning you into a negative, jealous person. You're constantly giving pieces of yourself to the people or the news that you claim to hate. You give them so much of your time and energy, you don't have any of it left to focus on yourself, your goals, and the people you care about. It also clouds your judgment of others and, most importantly, yourself. You won't have the ability to realize how mean or ignorant you are, and even if someone told you, your self-awareness is thrown completely out the window. Do it too often, and you'll only be surrounded by people who agree with you, or, more likely, no one at all. Of course, I eventually incorporated some social media back into my life, but now it doesn't affect me emotionally and I don't spend nearly the same amount of time on it as before. I've somehow managed to retain the benefits of accidentally quitting. That's why I don't think social media or news is inherently bad. It's where we are in our own mental well-being that dictates how harmful it is to our life. It's how we choose to engage with social media that determines if it'll be a beneficial tool or a parasite leeching away your life force.